Hey, it's Chris, Liege Games. So, a little bit of hotness, a little bit of news, a little bit of interesting things that are going on with games and new developments of upcoming games and games that are just currently ongoing right now that you need to know. So let's get right to it in the end. Now, again, stay around until the end. Special announcement here at the end, and let me know what you think or who you'd like me to reach out. Spoilers, click there if you want to at your own risk, but it's a good one. Let's get into the news and the noteworthy. Let's do this. Look, this one, first up, may not be on the hotness, but we're going to talk about it because it's freaking fantastically amazing. If you missed the announcement, because that's all it was basically this little teaser from Chip Theory Games, they're doing Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. But what does that mean? A better streamlined game? More easy to get to the table than the big adventure game from Modiphius? I mean, granted, I'll give Modiphius a lot of credit on their GameFound campaign. That was a solid rulebook. It's a solid game. I don't think people are going to hate it. I don't think it's going to be, like, horrible or anything. I think it's going to be, like, a solid 7. You know? Say what you will. But I have higher expectations when I've got Chip Theory Games, because say what you want about their games, they're not bad games. You don't worry about the quality of the game with Chip Theory. You worry about whether or not it's right for you. Coming out sometime in 2023, going to be probably crowdfunding. Actually, I think it's crowdfunding in November of September, October, November, somewhere in that, of this year. So, especially those people that got the strategist pledge, they're all in. The rest of us are going to be sitting on the edge waiting. Now, speaking of things I would love to get on this channel, Chip Theory Games. I'll put it out there right now. Ignite thinks so. Anyway, so that's why we're talking about it. Speaking of games, especially along the solo side of things that are making waves, if you missed it, the other one is Legacy of Wu by Shem Phillips. You may know him from the directional worker placement or Euro style games. This was also announced recently, and this has been sort of making waves as well, because people are really intrigued to see what a dedicated solo game looks like from his mind. Non-linear campaign game as a solo that balances itself as you go along? That sounds interesting. Okay, show me more. I don't have a clue what that iconography means, and boy, is there a lot going on those cards, but color me piqued even as a non-solo person. Building resources, defending your village, kind of looks cool, you know? Again, as a non-solo person, you've got me interested, which is saying something. So, hopefully we'll get more information soon. Oh, and going back to Elder Scrolls for just a brief second. Now, I mentioned solo, but this one, unlike some of the other Chip Theory games, again, this is going to be the divider. It says 1 to 4. You can do 1 to 4 in other games like Too Many Bones and Cloudspire, but they're really best at 1 or 2. Is this going to buck the trend, or is it going to give us more? Because it's going into the history of the Elder Scrolls, parts we haven't really seen too much of. So again, that's also really cool. Ever heard of God Realm? Well, you probably haven't, but you may have heard of Letterman Games, or you may have heard of Nicholas Yu, the designer behind one of the great games that they have put out of Adventure Tactics. I don't know anything about this game. There's no details released whatsoever, but between this, a company called Witch Song Minis, and whatever they're doing here, looks freaking fantastic. And those aren't even the biggest, or how big the miniatures are going to be. So I am super pumped. I want to know more. I'm looking at you guys, Letterman Games, Nicholas Yu. Give us some more info. That looks awesome. I just need to know. Let's do this. Okay, let's just take it from the top end of the hotness right now. Earth. I mean, it's killing it over on Kickstarter. This game from Inside Up Games is just massively killing it. The previous game, Block and Key, which I'm a backer of, this engine building sort of collection management game, just looks great. Now, I'll put this out there, though. This is a game, though, you don't want to just hop on the hype gravy train and get because other people are getting it and it's killing it in terms of funding and expectations. Check it out and whether or not it's for you. Again, I didn't look into it deeply on the first day it launched until it got more information, until it got more hype, because the theme is not up my usual ilk. But the engine building, hand management, tableau building, and minor powers on your off turn versus the major power on your turn is up my ilk. And $42 is a good price point. So the combination of those things, and that's why 4,400 people are backing it right now. And it looks, again, very solid. Again, why does this one blow up and another one doesn't? I have no idea. But there's a lot of information on here. There's way too many videos like usual, and you can check out everything you're doing with a rule book included. So if you're interested, check it out. Next up, Ark Nova, Ark Nova, Ark Nova. It is sold out everywhere. You know what? This game intrigues me. I want to get a copy, just like everybody else. At the same time, it really irritates me. This is ranked 122 overall. 122. I don't know if 3,000 people have actually played it, but I know that there's been online play that a lot of people have been utilizing too. So I would wager a guess a large portion of those have been online. Backers are just currently getting it, receiving the first wave, first printing, first pre-orders right now as we speak. Is it that good though? I mean, I have not seen a retail game this hyped probably since Wingspan. I mean, probably. It's escalated the charts probably even faster than Wingspan. And is it going to hold up? I have no doubts it's going to hold up. It's a heavier game. The heavier crowd likes it. The heavier crowd is going to skew very positive regardless. Heavier games can do that, but God forbid a miniature driven or a Kickstarter game do that, because then you're just biased because you backed it. I don't know. This game looks way too heavy for me, but it's not going to stop me from trying to get it in the first place. Is it for you? Probably not. And that's why if you're really interested in this game and you want to get it, you go down here, you look at the for trade list, because as people are getting it, it's going to be like Root and it's going to be like Oath, where people think they're going to like it and people actually try and play it and they get rid of it. And so, you know, if you want to buy it right now, don't, because people are jacking up the price. 6 months from now, you'll be able to get it for cost. So be aware, be smart with your money, and get what works for you, not just get it because everybody else is getting it. There you go. That's my 2 cents. Ostia. Ostia. Finishing up tonight, actually, at the time of me filming this. This is sort of the Mancala version of going around the harbor and resource management, utilization, optimization. I don't know. I think it's probably a little bit too heavy for me. I'm not really necessarily a fan of the Mancala as much as I think I'm going to like it. I don't think I'd actually get it to practicality, because it sounds like this is more like a 2+ hour game, which is another turnoff for me. But if you are looking at these Japanese games, the Japanese games, I will say this as the take-home point for this one. If you're going to get them, you get them on crowdfunding, because they're going to be cheaper even with the shipping, because they're not going to enter wide distribution, and the secondary market, I guarantee you there'll be more. So if you're interested at all in this, check it out. Next up, Kingdoms Forlorn. You've already seen EGGKNIGHT a couple times. That's not actually a tie-in. I didn't actually know I was going to be talking about it, but it's on the hotness, so let's do it. They're slowly unveiling things, and I think that's been the most mixed opinion from people right now. Actually, I should take that back. The other most divisive thing, and I've seen people popping this up in the comment section and Reddit and Facebook, is that Into the Unknown hasn't delivered on Aeon Trespass Odyssey, so, well, you can't have gone into your second game without delivering your first one. Come on now. I mean, seriously, come on. Simon, right? Anyway, Peterson Games, right? Did we not just talk about that? Also, you can't expect a company just to completely stall things and not have any other potential source of revenue income as a small business while trying to deliver the first one. I mean, otherwise, that's how things go under in the first place. Now, obviously, you don't rob Peter to pay Paul, but, I mean, that's how businesses work in general. So that's not a legit criticism at all in my mind. Now, if you don't like the fact that they've been rolling out a ton of updates, and with updates adding mechanisms and adding campaigns and kingdoms and things like that, well, then I won't argue with you, because I will say I would have liked a little bit more transparency with some of these things right from the get-go. But again, it's a minor nitpick because you're still getting it. It's just not the time frame in which you would have preferred. And to use that as an excuse not to back something is, again, it's you looking for a reason not to back, not that you were probably ever seriously interested in the first place. Now, again, if this game just isn't for you, though, it's not for you. I mean, this is a Kingdom Death Monster iteration, you know, different enough, standalone enough, delve, clash, battling differences, nuance mechanics different. And again, the question is just going to be, is it for you? Because it's also not going to be easy to get to the table. It's also not going to be a game for everybody, especially with a heavier narrative on the delve side and a more lengthy, minutia-esque, more layers, phases of the Clash. Again, I don't think the price point is bad, especially with the core game getting at least 2 principalities, at least 2 right now with all of the unlocked stretch goals and the unlocks on a daily basis. Now, you can say something different if you want to talk about the fact that, the other expansion with the 10,000 succulent fears. That's a whole nother discussion. But that's, a little bit of everything you're getting. And so I think it's a fine value. I don't think you're going to lose money. Aeon Trespass Odyssey is going to be higher on the secondary market. It was higher on the secondary late pledge side of things. And this is going to have the same effect. I don't think it's going to be a bad game. I think it's going to be a very solid game regardless as the basement. It's just, again, is it for you? If it's not for you, don't go in for it. But if you don't have one like this, this is probably going to be, even with the all-in 250, it's going to be half of what Kingdom Death Monster is, essentially. That's not a bad thing, either. So, there you go. Kingdom's Forlorn. Next up, Voices in My Head. Internal Conflict, Court of Law, 3 to 6 players, which is an awful odd count. And you're basically trying to avoid being convicted for a crime you did or did not commit. One person's the prosecutor. Everybody else are the emotions, that are trying to influence the jury in terms of how they're going to vote. I have no clue if this game is going to be good. I have no clue. This doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. But it's going to be one of those social experiments that I think people are either going to absolutely love and you're going to see a bunch of hype and gush over on some of the larger channels, or it's just going to fall a little flatter. I don't really know. I don't know the target audience for this. Is this something that appeals to people? Like, I don't know. I feel weird about these games talking about them when I'm clearly outside the target audience. So I don't really know how this is going to work. I don't know how people are going to react to it. And this could be an absolutely fantastic, amazing party-esque, non-party game. And so that's going to be sort of why it's a little bit intriguing at the same time, from an outsider looking in, at least. There you go. Unexpected games, Voices in My Head. There you go. Next up, Tindaya. Again, speaking of things that are launching and doing well, Tindaya it's Spirit Island on steroids. And I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. At least that's my impression of it. That was my comparison to it. That was my analysis of it when I had a chance to look at it firsthand, as well as seeing the GameFound page. It's funding along the lines of Spirit Island, which was a vast underperformer for a game that has become probably one of the greatest games in our hobby. But it's a lot heavier than Spirit Island, as weird as that is to say. This is more of a heavy Euro version of Spirit Island rather than whatever you want to call Spirit Island in the first place. And for me, I flat out told the designer that this was too heavy for me. I said, hey man, thanks for sending this to me. Thanks for letting me try it out, but it's way too heavy for me to be able to talk with any confidence or to be able to do a video on. And he was super gracious. So I give him a lot of kudos. And it's doing well. 73,000 euros for a game that's going to fly under a lot of people's radar is, really good. And again, it's just whether or not it's for you. Do you like the idea of something that's heavier than Spirit Island with all of these elements and pieces and resources and settlement things and just everything in between? And that's more of the question. Again, I think the price is fine. I'm not surprised by the price. I think the price on this last week on Kickstarter and GameFound was actually really good. It's just whether or not it's for you. I like the theme. I like the incorporation. I like some of the elements. It's just, again, do you have time to hit the table with a game like this on a frequent basis? And I know that I don't. And I know I don't have the brain-burning power to do it either most of the time. So it was a pass for me, but I know it's definitely going to intrigue people and want to make people back it. So Red Moho Games, check it out. Now, Mind Management, the psychic espionage game. You've seen my review copy. I unboxed it earlier in the week. And I've got 2 or 3 of my packs that have some damaged cards. So I'm going to see how big of a deal that is when I do it. You may have been thinking that this is on the hotness because of their repeat Kickstarter campaign, but it was actually set off in motion because invariably I can't do one of these videos without talking about them. Shut Up and Sit Down did a review on it. They basically gave it glowing praise across the board. And then they said afterwards, we're going to strike while the iron is hot and everyone wants a copy and let's do a second Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign and do it. Which again, I have absolutely no problem with. I'm $1 backing right now because again, I haven't played my review copy to know how much of this other stuff that I want. and what I'm gonna do with it. Like I was thinking about that the other day as I'm unboxing it. Right, I can't even get the lid back on. It's so damaged after I took it off. So I'm like, do I like put it in one of like my extra spare boxes that I from an expansion of a game that I just haven't gotten rid of yet? Do I like cut the box in half and try and like make it smaller like you see people doing sometimes, like making their own custom box? But I mean, does it really matter what I think? Because everyone else says it's good. Everyone else says it's, one of the best games out there and you should be playing it. The one thing I don't see on this, and I was looking through this because you're adding these secret mission cards like to balance the game out, right? And there's like 7 or something per side. If one side wins, then the other side, the side that lost, gets the bonus to sort of even it out to play catch up. Especially from if I'm better than you at the game or if I have more experience, there's a little bit of evening out, so there's not a runaway leader. And so it goes back and forth, and you add those in each time apparently. And I just wonder, and I don't know this, but I just wonder how many of these people on this list have played this game more than half a dozen times. Because really, when I'm looking at this game, I would assume a good number of these have played this. To rank it this high and to go through it, with that much depth, I would hope that the majority of these people on this list have played it at least that many times to give it, okay, well, how do I like it when all of this other stuff is introduced and improved and put in, rather than just I played it once or twice and it was super awesome and I was super excited by it, but now it's sitting on my shelf and I've never played it again since then. Because, I mean, that's why I did my video of looking back at my top 10 from 2021. If you missed that video, I'll put that up here. But looking back at the things that I thought were good from like the year before, and where are they now? Have I played them since then? Are they still even in my collection? And we see like top 100, top 50 lists from like Dice Tower and other people. But the thing I don't always see in those is like, do you still have the game? You're ranking it in your top whatever, but these guys have collections that like, fill up this room that I'm in, from head to toe, ceiling to wall, and sometimes they get rid of stuff a lot too. Like NPI just did a video, a couple months ago that they were like, hey, we just got rid of some of our favorite games, because we just don't have enough space, and we got rid of games that we really thought highly of. And I don't see enough of that from other channels talking about that. And it'd just be an interesting test. Again, seeing that this was top ranked for 2021, are all of these people going to have it in their collection in 2022 by the time that ends? But I mean, again, it's a one versus all potentially game. I love one versus all, so I'm expecting to like this game. I am potentially the target audience for this game with asymmetry and powers and one versus all and just the fun that comes from that. I just don't know how much fun, and is it worth me getting the deluxe because I just have the retail edition too? Is it worth me buying the upgrade, getting the secret mission cards in the wood kit? I don't know. I haven't decided. Got some time. Going to be doing the pledge manager in a couple weeks whenever it comes out, and I'll figure it out. Personally, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to love it to get, extra money for this. And that's a lot saying from me. So either way, I mean, if you want to get in on it, I think maybe they're doing late pledges. Maybe not. I don't know. Check it out when it goes, in a couple weeks, and you can maybe try and get in if you missed it. If you didn't, well, you might have to try and get in on the secondary market again. So there you go. Mind management. Last up here on the hotness, we have Tiny Epic Dungeons, which is on the hotness because everyone's getting it right now. It's being delivered to backers as the latest iteration of the Tiny Whatever series from Scott Alms. His name has been everywhere. He has been prolifically designing stuff. You're going to start throwing his name up there with like Lang and Nizia in terms of how much stuff has come out recently from him. So, Dungeon Crawl in the Tiny Epic series. The ratings are actually pretty good on it right now. 7.9, although that's, under 300 ratings, so take that for what you will. But that's pretty good. I don't think there was many exclusives for this game either. You got your heroes, your dungeon delving, you got sort of the roguelike setup, and then you go fight the boss. Different bosses, different abilities, different fighters, different upgrades, dice rolling, a little bit of everything. So, I don't know. I like the idea of it, but also I just, again, I guess the nice part is it's not a campaign, so it's scenario based, and so it's not something like Vagrant Song or Adventure Tactics where you're carrying stuff over and you have to worry about that aspect, because those are like great games, but again, that's part of the biggest dilemma of getting those to the table is just the carryover effect and the remembering from one to the other and the continuing. It's definitely along those lines of lighter, probably lighter than any of those actually, but is it going to fill your appetite if you're looking for something along those lines in the first place? that's more of the question. And so we'll see as more reviews start to trickle out and people start to get it. And again, seeing how much of it also ends up in the secondary market and how people compare it to the other Tiny Epic games too, because that always is the baseline. When people start recommending, they, inevitably you see those posts, wherever on social media or online, and they say, I'm finally getting into the Tiny Epic series. What ones should I get, right? And you routinely are seeing like Tiny Epic Galaxies and maybe Tiny Epic Dinosaurs, whatever that one was, as the most commonly recommended ones. And will this one sort of rocket up that sky chart too? Rocket up that chart as well. So, that'll be in the outtakes. You'll check out the end there and see what I screwed up there, and you can laugh at me again. That's it right now. So let's go. So 2 last quick things of note. On the latest update from Frostpunk the board game from Glass Cannon Unplugged, it links to a video of a board game announcement, and rumor has it that there is going to be a board game reenactment, tabletop port of the video game Dying Light. Now, if you're not familiar with what Dying Light is, you're an undercover agent in a Middle Eastern city, and there is a zombie infection outbreak. And essentially what you're doing is just trying to stay alive, but the day and night dynamic here, hence the name, is very drastically different. During the daytime, the zombies are kind of clumsy and doing their zombie normal thing. But at nighttime, they're much smarter, they're much more aggressive, and they're much more, you gotta watch your toes. And so can this be done? Are the markets already too saturated with zombie games? We'll see, because if, Glass Cannon Unplugged can bring something new to the zombies that's different than Zombicide, much more tactical and strategic, count me in, because although Frostpunk is definitely not for me, I'd be interested to see what they can pull out. Speaking of other video game ports, speaking of them, indeed, Far Cry Beyond is going to be on March 7, the Kickstarter campaign from FunForge. Details? Well, it's a spin-off of the Far Cry video games set in the 1980s. That's all we know, because they haven't told us anything else. There's literally no other information out there. I'm imagining some of the big channels have stuff by now, so maybe they know. But I even sent them an email and they said, we're not going to tell you anything. And I said, okay, awesome. I'll find out with everyone else when it launches on March 7. But again, I'm screaming it from the rooftops at least once a month, it sounds like. Video games are here to stay, folks. Be choosy, be picky, demand excellence. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot of ones that are lackluster, and you're going to see your favorite games not get done again because no one's going to want to take the chance on them. So, higher standards. Just be aware. Check it out, though, when it goes live in March. That's it. The news, the hotness, the roundup, everything you need to know, everything that has been needing to known, and everything else that I can fit in grammatically incorrectly here at the end of the video. As always, if you made it this far, I always forget to tell people to smash the like, subscribe button, because it helps the YouTube algorithm. It helps me get subscribers. It helps other people see the stuff, because if you like it, then don't you want to share the wealth and share the fun with other people? Because, let's not make the rich richer. Let's help out. Let's help me get to 5K. Let's help me get to 10K. We have 10 months to get to 10K. So I only need 500 subscribers each month. That's not undoable, right? I'm averaging about half that right now. Okay, let's do it. If I can hit 10,000 by the end of the year, I will give somebody a big game. I will buy someone a big game. I will buy them a pledge of almost their choosing, maybe. We'll do something like that. I am not big enough to be sponsored by channels. If any publishers want to sponsor me, if any publishers want to put their neck out there and say, hey, if this guy gets to 10,000 by the end of the year, we'll, go in for a raffle on this. I'm going to do that. Let's do that. I'm going to reach out to publishers and say, hey, would you be willing to, do a raffle for me if I can get to 10,000 to show my supporters by the end of the year? Yeah, let's see what I can do. That's all I got. I don't know. It's been a long weekend. I have a long week to go. Man, I am not looking forward to working 10 days in a row. Anyway, that's all I got. Have a great day. Stay classy. I'll see you around.